Have you ever found you are your own worst critic? In this video, we will think about self-reflection in a way that can be helpful to us for the life that we want to live. In this video, we will discuss 5 areas: utility of self-reflection, kindness to ourselves, the power of journaling, changing thoughts negative to positive, processing criticism. Utility of self-reflection. Self-reflection is a powerful tool to help us with many different areas of self-improvement. The first area we will consider is learning. By spending some time thinking about ourselves, the different experiences we have had, we can take different pieces of information from different experiences. Those pieces of information can then be used to create new relationships between each other to form newer understanding from the whole than we would get from the parts. Let's take an example that we have an experience where we fell over in the street. Someone helped us up and we were able to go about our day. Let's say we had another experience where someone we didn't know was angry at us and threw a drink at us thinking we were someone else. Then when they realised we were not who they thought we were, they apologised and offered to buy us a drink and a cake and pay for the clothes to be cleaned. So let's say from the first experience we learned that even in an embarrassing situation, there are people who are willing to show us kindness, and actually the highlight of the kindness is a better focus than the embarrassment because we can learn from it to not repeat it. The second experience, we realise the impact of large amounts of anger on a person's ability to see a situation clearly. Even if throwing the coffee for the person felt really good in the moment, the outcome was not great for them. They were down dry cleaning costs, an extra coffee, and cake's worth as well. So when we put these experiences together, we can see we would rather have the good impact of helping someone with no financial cost versus acting impulsively out of strong emotions of anger and/or hurt, which then leads us to consider how these emotions can be processed more effectively for our own lives. Another utility of self-reflection is actually gaining more enjoyment from a past experience. This could be something like taking a moment to celebrate an achievement instead of just moving on to the next thing without acknowledging it. It could be thinking back to a good experience you had and what you liked about it. The good thing about this is it can act as a counterbalance, particularly if there are difficult situations in life. Self-reflection is also useful for understanding life direction. Sometimes by examining what we have, we can start to create a vision of the future that we could attain. We could look at it different ways to add to what we already have with knowledge, skills, income, time efficiency, etc. When we don't do any type of self-reflection, then we can end up just continuing with keeping going with whatever is happening to us, and it can feel more like things are happening to us rather than us being the ones living our lives. Self-reflection can be great for considering what is going on in the present. We can use self-reflection to consider where our focus is and then where it should be. This allows us to center our attention in the right place so that we get the most out of what is currently going on. Life is always lived now. So we want to adapt our self-reflection according to the moments we are in. Are we with someone we care about? Then we want to reflect if our attention is on them, on our phone, somewhere else, like the next thing we have to do. So then we can focus it back on them. Do we have some quiet time by ourselves? Then maybe we can use that time to look back or look forward so that we can get the best out of our thinking time without it taking away from our life experiences. Kindness to ourselves. Since we live with ourselves every day, we see all the good and the bad. However, it is the bad things that tend to stick out more than the good things. Whilst we want to learn from the bad, to not keep repeating it, we don't want to turn those things into a metaphorical stick to get ourselves with. So the first thing about considering ourselves is that we view ourselves as someone that we care about, that we like, and that whilst we have flaws, we also have good capabilities that others can appreciate. Part of helping us with kindness to not have things held over us in our minds is that we forgive other people when they let us down, and we get their forgiveness when we let them down. This is important for maintaining good relationships with people, and also it lessens the amount of life circumstances for us that mean we experience negative emotions around unresolved issues. Sometimes in being our own worst critics, we can blame ourselves for something that wasn't our fault. This can particularly happen around things like grief, where someone feels like if they had done something like pick up the phone and ask someone how they were, etc., then a bad situation wouldn't have happened. People blaming themselves for things outside of their control. In these situations, self-forgiveness can be really helpful to not stay stuck with should, would, or could. When we think about ourselves in a way that we are going to care about ourselves as much as we care about and look out for others, then we can gain a mentality that self-reflection becomes an opportunity to make sure we are in the best place possible, so we can be there for the people that we care about. We can start to feel self-empowered because in looking after ourselves, we increase our own ability to take responsibility, which leads to building our basis of skills, which then gives us more positive material as a feedback tool for our own self-reflection. The power of journaling. This is something that could feel like a time-consuming extra in someone's life. The great thing about building this up as a practice is you can record far more than you are able to remember. Some ideas for journaling inclusions could be important life events. By putting these down, what happened, you can remember things in your life that have been important to you. As you do this, you provide mental triggers to go back in your mind and enjoy things that are pleasant memories. Another aspect can be for emotional processing. How are you feeling that day? What are those emotions related to? This can be a great way to help process what is going on in your life in a healthy way instead of a throwing coffee in anger way. You can record down creative ideas. So if you are out and about and something comes to you, it could be an idea for a piece of art or writing. Maybe you like writing poems. Then you can get the ideas written down so that you can come back to them when you are ready to write. Another important aspect is around achievements and positive ideas that you want to embed in your mind. As you speak forth those ideas, then you can start to change your thinking around those beliefs. Changing thoughts, negative to positive. As we reflect on ourselves and we think about who we are and what our life is like, we may find that our thoughts are more negative about ourselves than maybe we initially realize. So then we start to get a list of issues we want to solve and then start to switch negative thoughts about ourselves that are not true with positive ones to help us grow into those things. The purpose of a more positive mindset is to help get us mentally to a place where we are more willing to make the positive changes in our lives that we want. Self-reflection is providing us the opportunity to do this. We have to train our minds to find positives. As we consider a lot of media is feeding us negative things like world events about things going wrong, ideas such as fear, uncertainty and anxiety are often themes that come out in those things. We then need to start building from the smallest positives and enlarge them as we go. Then when we have a negative idea, like we can't change anything about our situation in a positive way, we can change it to there is something we can change, but we haven't found it yet. We will find it and change it. Whilst we will experience negative emotion, we do not want it as the source of hindrances for making positive changes in our lives that we want to make. Self-reflection provides a great opportunity to address those hindrances. Processing criticism. We can often take criticism far more seriously than a compliment. Have we ever found ourselves looking first at the negative reviews for a product and putting greater weight on that than all the positive reviews? Not all criticism is equally valid. Let's start with a ridiculous criticism to illustrate. If someone criticised you for having fingers and toes, should you take that seriously? The answer is no. When thinking about criticism, the first thing we want to consider is the source it has come from. If it is anonymous on social media, then really we don't even know if it is coming from a human being. So the first thing we want to think about is how trustworthy is the source that is providing the criticism. If the source isn't trustworthy, then we don't need to take it seriously. Even if it is a valid criticism, the people we trust in our lives are the ones we can trust to bring that if they believe it is needed. The next issue with processing criticism is the quality of the criticism. We may have a criticism from someone we trust, but particularly if it is something more intuitive, we might not have the information we need to do something with it. Let's say we got feedback from a particular person that they felt like there was something that felt off with what we did in a situation when we passed the salt to someone at dinner. Now, if there is no more information than that, then we can't really do anything with it. So we need to understand what it is and how we can do it differently. Let's say with our passing the salt example, we were told it felt off because we passed the salt and we looked like we were reluctantly doing it and we were rolling our eyes. That actually next time we shouldn't be rolling our eyes. Well, with that type of feedback, we can actually do something with it. So once we have trust and specifically what we should change, we can then start to do things differently. If that bar has not been met, then we can disregard the criticism, or if multiple people we don't trust said the same thing and it bothers us, then we can ask someone we trust. If they do not confirm it, then we can move on. We don't want to waste our self-reflection time and emotional energy on things which are not worth our time, because criticism is easy. It can even be automated through computer programs. Well thought out criticism by trusted people is rare, so we can use self-reflection to process criticism well. As I have improved my ability to self-reflect, I have empowered my own self-improvement. As you apply the elements of this video that are helpful to you, you will help your own personal growth. Like birds of a feather, we grow together.